Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode 122, and we are glad to be back. Fresh off vacation is the owner of Outdoor Legacy Gear, Mr. Jason Robertson, back safely from Texas. And
to Texas.
To Texas? From Texas?
From Texas, to Texas.
You weren't vacationing in Texas? Oh,
no.
Dang, okay.
We were vacationing
New Mexico.
in northern New Mexico in the Rocky Mountains. Beautiful
welcome
weather.
back.
And I tell you, we had a great trip. We were there for a while. We did a lot of fishing, we took our Polaris Ranger, did a lot of riding around, relaxing, and it was wonderful. We had, great temperatures, and it's one of those things where when we left out there, it was 45 degrees that morning. We pulled out, and we hit North Texas later that day, and it was 108. And I was like, welcome back to Texas.
I remember I was texting you a bunch and being like, it's 105 here degrees today. And it's been miserable, the weather as far as and another thing, we had Hurricane Laura come through and you were gone. We were all worried about it was going to hit your house while you're gone, and luckily you got spared. Very lucky.
That thing slid just a little bit east, and the Weather Channel sent one of their guys here to Nacogdoches to our town here in the county, staked him out and said we were going to have 100-mile-an-hour winds. And I tell you what, I think that guy was sitting around in his lawn chair twiddling his thumbs, and I'm sure his buddies that were down in Lake Charles getting blown away were probably giving him a hard time, but we missed it all here. We had 30-mile-an-hour winds and 3/4 of an inch of rain, so we were blessed. And not so well for some of our Louisiana neighbors, but I think they're trying to dig out and rebuild, and we've been there, and it's a pain, but we were thankful to be spared.
Well, welcome back, man. I remember telling my wife several times, I'm like, man, I miss Jason. Jason needs to come back. You just feel it, when you're out of the state, and it's not because we didn't. The business still ran. The Outdoor Legacy was still moving right along, thanks to Michaela mostly.
Thanks to Michaela and to Hans for covering a whole lot. So
we didn't sink the ship while you were gone, but it's good to have you back.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad to be back, and to be honest, it really was. It was nice. Hans took a lot of calls. Michaela really held the ship down here in the office, so it was great. I mean, I still was still working, but not near as much, and so it was nice. But I'm going to tell you one thing that really, and Hans knows this. Hans got me, this got me flustered, was that we knew I was going to be gone a couple weeks, and we didn't want to try to record while I was out of state. It's just really hard to do. So we had the Sniper Hoglite interview with Jason Brooks. We got the internet episode. We got this stuff, a couple episodes ready to go, recorded them before I left, and we were excited about that. And hey, we're going to get a couple weeks off. And I'll be dadgum if in about that time we didn't have all kinds of things start shipping and announcing and coming available and public knowledge. And it was like, we're not here. Nothing ever happens in August. What's going on? This is a big week. So Tuesday of this week, the Pulsar Thermion XG was released. And if you haven't, I'm going to invite everybody out there. If you haven't watched the episode, the interview with Jeff Murray and Chase Stevens, Jason and I went to Sightmark, which is the American distributor of Pulsar USA. And they're the distributors for Pulsar. We had a great interview with them. Go check out. That was our last episode that we just put up, the breaking news episode. Yeah, it was like a bonus episode. It was
bonus episode.
Yeah, so on Tuesday.
That is a huge announcement that happened on Tuesday this week. Got several other things, and that's what this whole show is about. We've got to catch up on talking about all these new optics that are hitting the market, that are just announced. And we are going to, I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah,
we got a lot of show. We got a lot of show and a lot of stuff to talk about.
We do. We got to get rolling. Yeah. And so, folks, we're going to just go ahead and tell you what we're going to do is we're going to talk about several different things, just really some industry updates, some things that were announced or have become available in the couple weeks that I say we were away, but we already had pre-recorded shows and I was out of state. So the first thing, Hans has already mentioned it. I think it's huge. I'm going to bring it up here. I know some people might not know what we're talking about, so we're going to go ahead and explain it. The news was announced on Tuesday at 8 a.m. of this week, September 1st. Pulsar announced the Pulsar Thermion XG50. Now, and that sounds a lot like XP, I know, but it's XG as in girl. And what that unit is it is a groundbreaking scope for this industry. It is a 640 by 480 high resolution, 12 micron BAE thermal core scope. So now BAE, I know some people are going, I don't know what that means. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, that is the same thermal core that Trijicon and Envision use. It is the very best #1 thermal core in any thermal rifle scope that is available to U.S. citizens. And so one of the complaints about this, that thermal core, is that it's always been said that it is impossible or not feasible or nobody's figured out how to do to put internal audio and video recording using that thermal core. And Pulsar said, Shazam, watch us. And they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hold my beer and watch this.
Exactly.
But let's do this. Let's run through the specs real quick. We're going to be doing a full review of the Pulsar Thermion XG50 next week. We're going to talk a lot about it. You're going to hear a lot of XG50 talk here coming very soon. But yeah, you're exactly right. 640 by 480 thermal core, BAE thermal core, and 640 resolution, 12 micron. The first and only BAE thermal that we know of or we've ever heard of that has internal video and audio recording. You do not have, thank goodness, you do not have to close the lens cap to nuke. And when we say nuke, that means just recalibrate. If you use thermal, you're familiar with that. But when you nuke a thermal scope, you're basically recalibrating the image. It's got to refresh every now and then. With the BAE, with the Trigicons or Envisions, you've always had to close the lens cap and press a button to refresh the screen. Then you open the lens cap back open. Well, what do you want to do if you're stalking up on hogs, or if you got hogs running through the woods close to you? Last thing you want to do is close that lens cap to refresh it. And that's been, a lot of people have asked about, hey, is there any way around that or anything you can do not to have to do that? In the past, no. But with the Thermion XG50, it's automatic or semi-automatic nuke. You don't have to close the lens cap on it. It is a great achievement, and I don't know how they did it, but thank goodness they've done it. We talked about rechargeable batteries, multiple color palettes, Wi-Fi, all the same features and functions that the Thermions have right now, the XP50 or anything else. It does have all the bells and whistles, but the big thing, internal video and audio recording, 640 BAE thermal core, don't have to close the lens cap to nuke it. And the even better price, people for a long time have been talking about when thermal price is going to come down. They're not coming down quick enough. Well, how about a 640 resolution, 3 power, 3 to 24 power with internal video recording, all the bells and whistles for $6,000.
Unbelievable.
$5,999.97. Just what do they call a frog butt hair away from 6,000?
Well, and listen, and somebody's going to hear what you just said, and they're going to say, you just said prices are coming down at $6,000. It is, folks, but you got to understand what you're getting. I mean, it's and so here's the thing. What this does is it forces other pricing down over time. Okay, so
it's gonna force pricing down, or it's gonna force quality up.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think that's something, and we can get into this in another episode, but we are seeing prices stagnate, and we're not seeing that $3,000 range, $3,300 in there. Seems when you get below that, it seems like it's really hard for these major companies to get below that price range and to put out some really good optics. And so what we're seeing though is that the quality of these $3, $4, $5, $6,000 scopes is getting better and better and better. And so I think eventually it's just going to keep driving prices down. But
yeah, and when we talk about the price are coming down on that high end, because the BAE is known for high end thermal picture quality, picture clarity. It's the highest of the high end. It is the XG50 is significantly less expensive than the comparable models of the other BAE thermal manufacturers, significantly. And to be at that price point, another thing about it is it's very limited to the dealers that can sell it, that have it in stock. We do have it. Outdoor Legacy Gear is one of the few fortunate. We're very thankful for the opportunity to not only to be able to sell it on day one, which is rare for a manufacturer to have it and be able to sell it, have it in stock on day one. But the fact that we've been able to test it out in the field for so long, very appreciative. So
we're thankful for that. We've had the opportunities to again use it for a long time now. I mean, for many weeks, and be in the field with it, and to really get out there, and it's been great. It's allowed us to get to know this optic better. And Hans is right. That's one thing about this optic. It is not available everywhere right now, and it's kind of a different deal. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later, but there's a lot of reasoning of why it's not available at all the dealers. We're thankful to be one of them. I think it's going to be at about 15 dealers starting out, and I think about 10 of those are brick and mortars. I don't know if my numbers are exactly right, but something like that. There's only about 5 online dealers that have this. The others are going to be small mom and pop brick and mortar dealers that do a good job for Pulsar. And so anyway, we're thankful to be in that list. So if you are looking for one of these, give us a call. And we've, as of right now, when you're watching this,
September 3rd,
we've got inventory of them, and and we've got a lot of them. They're
it's going to
really
go quick.
Good scopes. I think people are going to be really happy with this. The 3 power is a big deal. I mean, gets. I know one of the things that we've heard about the XP50 for a long time is, man, I love the scope, the image quality, the features, but I just need a little more magnification for my coyote hunting or my longer range hog hunting, whatever it is. And I think this is the answer. And I don't want to get into a full review because we're going to do that. We're going to do that next week. Is that the next
full
podcast?
Review next week? So if you check out my YouTube channel, Hans ETX, I've got a I say a short video. It doesn't seem like any videos these days are very short, but I've got a where I went and took it out hunting, my first hunts, hog hunts with it, got talking a little bit about it, some of the specs. But next week's a full review. I know Jason's going to be putting out, if he hadn't already, he's going to be putting out a short video on the XG on the Outdoor Legacy Gear YouTube channel. But we're going to have a lot of XG50 talk next week, full review. We're going to dive way deep into it. This is going to be a very popular scope. It's going to sell like crazy. Just there's so many people of them asking for the features with a BAE core like are included in, and it's I don't want to downplay it. It's a big deal. This scope, it's really going to rock the thermal industry that what we know of right now. I mean, it's. You don't need to downplay it, but
I think
it's a big deal.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of people, and I understand this. Listen, this is going to be some inside baseball. A lot of guys go, "Hey, I'm not buying a $6,000 scope.
Yeah,
what do I care? Woohoo! There's a new Ferrari model, and I get that, but I do think that this is going to again trickle down over the next couple years to better improvements, maybe again even lower pricing as we go down into the less expensive units. And what this is going to do is it's going to force everybody on this top end to sit up and reevaluate and say, good gravy, somebody's using this core. Pulsar has managed to go in here and put all these features, the video recording and all the things that the general consensus for years has been it's not possible, or it's not feasible, or it's not affordable, and they did it, and they did it at a lower price. So I think it's again, maybe inside baseball, but to a lot of people, this is huge news.
I do expect that this is big. If you're like Jason and I, and we're in the industry, and this is what we do, so we get very excited about stuff like this.
Right.
But I expect Envision to start making some moves. Trijicon, I don't know. I don't see anything coming out of them at all.
No.
But Envision, I do expect some moves coming out of them.
Yeah, and that's something I want to bring up too. Since we've talked about the XG, but I know we're going to be again getting into full reviews of those. So check it out. If you are interested in that scope and you don't want to wait for the review, give us a call 877-350-1818 or outdoorlegacygear.com. We've got them ready to sell them. Love to talk to you about them. But you mentioned Envision making some moves. There's some news here from last week that I think we need to bring up, and that is that Envision announced 2 new optics, kind of another summer surprise here, heat of the summer. Everybody's sitting around when there's normally not much going on, and they dropped a bomb on us. They've got 2 new units that will be shipping later this fall. Right now they're saying tentative dates is November, and it's going to be called the Nox, and I think that's Nox. And there's going to be, these are kind of an all-in-one unit. They're helmet mountable, they're hand holdable, and they are weapons mountable. So they are going to have a very small quick detach mount on the bottom that is removable, so that if you want to put that on a helmet, or you want to hold it in your hand and don't want the mount on there, you can do that. They will have the same reticles that the Halo and Halo LRs have, so you'll have all those options. They're going to have 2 versions. They're going to have an 18 millimeter and a 35 millimeter. Now, this kind of goes without saying. They're going to be the BAE thermal core. They're going to be the same image quality. And what I'm hearing directly from Envision is that these little units could actually possibly even have a little better image quality than what we've seen in the Halo and the Halo LR. The 18 millimeter is going to be, again, this is all tentative. This is directly from them. So if something changes a little bit between now and November, forgive us, but this is what they're saying. The 18 millimeter is going to be a fixed focus. It's going to be around 1, maybe 1.2 power base magnification optically. Then the 35 millimeter is going to be around 2, possibly 2.1, 2.2 base magnification, and it will have a focusable objective. And so the pricing on those 2 units is going to be $61.95 for the 18 millimeter and $67.95 on the 35 millimeter. And again, handheld, helmet mount, and weapons mountable, and they're little bitty things. I mean, they'll fit in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, you and I's ears perked up when it said weapons mountable. I mean,
exactly.
That's what interests us the most. But it's a pretty cool looking little unit, man. I'm looking forward to strapping one on a rifle and taking it out hunting.
Absolutely, and we've already got some talks in with Envision about getting our hands on these, maybe taking them on a hunt, and actually getting a podcast interview with them. So stay tuned on that. This is again, breaking news, brand new. They haven't released a whole lot of info about it. They're still finalizing the product. But from everything that we've heard and talked with them, it sounds like a great little unit. So that's just one more thing, kind of a summer surprise.
Yeah, they definitely want to be back on the show, and we were glad to have them back on the show. So we'll coordinate that and get some use out of it. Now let's switch gear. Well, we're not going to switch gears. We're going to talk about thermal monoculars.
Let's talk about new that dropped.
That was dropped. The Pulsar Axion XQ38 and XQ38 LRF. Now, everybody's familiar that listens to the show regularly. The Axion is the small handheld monoculars that have been out for a while. There's several models, but those were the XM series. And now we've got the XQ38 Axion coming out and a handheld thermal monocular with a laser rangefinder on it. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty
these
cool
are going to be interesting little units. These were something that Hans and I were shown some mock-ups of many, many months ago. And I mean, when I say mock-ups, I mean, it looked like a computer-generated drawing, like some kid
Very
did it on
draft.
his Apple IIe.
Hey, you're offending somebody right now.
Well, we were like, okay, what great, we'll believe it when we see it, whatever. I mean, there's lots of things that you see and hear about that don't ever actually, come to fruition. So,
I'm to give some guys a hard time. It's not just one specific company. It's all the thermal manufacturers. But when you talk to them, they're always working on everything. You could mention whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're working on that." It doesn't matter what you say.
Everybody's working on something. And
Yeah.
and I tell you what, I think again, another topic for another day. But there's a lot of research, a lot of development, a lot of money goes into creating these things, and there's stuff that I guarantee you gets 3/4 built out and then thrown in the trash can, and for whatever reason, and they just don't do it. But the Axion XQ38, I'm excited about this. These 2 units. Now we're going to give a little bit of info. They're 3.5 power base magnification, both the 38 and the 38 LRF. They're $24.99 and $27.99. I want to make sure that's right. I know it's $27.99 for the LRF model.
Yeah,
that is right. So we're going to round up $2,500 and $2,800.
Yeah.
All right, and they're going to be 3.5 power. They're going to have the larger high resolution display that like the Axion XM30S has. Right. They are going to be a slightly larger unit physically, not much, but just a little bit. I don't have those specs in front of me, but I looked it all up and compared it. It was all in centimeters and millimeters, and I had to convert it over. But they're going to be slightly larger.
I picture you counting dashes on a ruler.
Yeah, exactly. No, I used Google. And so they're going to be a little bit bigger, and that's because it's got to put this XQ thermal core in it, which is a little larger core.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really, what we're understanding, a better image quality than the XMs, thus the higher price. Now, I had a phone call this week. The guy said, okay, is this going to be as good as a Helion XQ38? I said, I don't know, but I doubt it. And he's like, why do you doubt it? And I said, because it's $500 less.
Well,
so we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be yet till we get our hands in the field.
Where you're going, and I was yielding phone calls, there were 2 scopes. We're going to talk about the other one that most people asked about. But this Axion XQ38 had more questions from people calling in. They saw the release of it, and they wanted more information. And the first thing is what they want to know, how much is it? Well, we answered that question. The second thing is, well, actually, probably the third. They want to know what it looks like. They said, Hans, have you seen it? And I was like, well, we're not yet, but we'll be able to test it soon. Exactly. They want to know when it's going to be here. And that's the $1 million question. When's it going to be here? When's it going to be available to buy?
October is the current date.
Yep.
And I believe that's realistic. We are taking pre-orders on this with $100 deposit on both the LRF and the regular Axion XQ38. I will say that they're going to use a little different battery. I don't know exactly what's going on here. It's going to be called an APS-5, and the battery system is a little different. From what I've seen of it, it looks like one of the other APS batteries, but where on the other Axions it just slid into the back and kind of clicked in, this is going to slide in, and it's going to have a battery cap that actually goes over it, maybe like twist on from what it looks like. So anyway, I think it's going to be really cool. A lot going on there. I do believe from everything that Hans and I have been told, we should expect a better image quality than the other Axions. And I think from, again, what we're told and where the pricing is, where it's going to slide in, it's going to be a nice medium or middle ground between the other Axions and the Helions. Yep. And then, now, I should mention one more quick thing, because this is something that needs to be mentioned. The LRF version will not have the StreamVision streaming app, nor will it have audio and video recording. However, it is not a key model. And they did not call it a key model because the key models have the lower resolution, physically smaller display screens that you look at in the rear, through the eyepiece. It has the larger, high resolution display. They just took out the audio video recording and the smartphone app to save money. They're trying to keep it in that, sub $3,000 price, and that's what they've done at that $2,800. So anyway, that's just one more thing that was, kind of dropped.
Thrown out there, and we're excited about testing it. Let's move into a little bit of night vision talk.
So something else dropped. And this was, it's funny because Hans and I have been, blessed to be able to sometimes have the drop on some of this stuff of the, getting to see it a little beforehand or hearing about it. Not always, but sometimes. The problem is you never know exactly when it's going to come out or if it's going to come out, but we'll hear about it. And so we had actually seen this next optic and had heard they were going to announce it. And to our shock, it came like really fast. And that is the Sightmark Wraith HD 2-power base magnification. So I know our listeners are familiar with the Sightmark Wraith HD. We've talked about it for endlessly now for a year and a half, and it's super popular. I think it's the most popular digital night vision optic to ever hit the consumer market. But one of the complaints, and it's a complaint that we've had, is that it's 4-power, and that's a lot of magnification for hog hunters, for guys in the South, even, some coyote hunters, but it's just a narrow field of view and a lot of magnification. Well, Sightmark listened, and they said, all right, we're going to come out with a 2-power model, and we're going to make it the exact same price of $499.97, and they dropped the bomb on us. Now, here was the weird part. So they announced it, and they said that the scope was coming in this announcement, within, I don't know, a month or something. And I get a phone call, and they say, hey, this was the day after they announced it. And they said, oh, by the way, you're going to have your full order tomorrow. I'm like, I thought you said next month. Oh, yeah, we said that, but there was some confusion. They're already in the warehouse. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Awesome. So with that said, we've got them. Now, I want to make one more comment about availability. We're recording this first week of September. We have triple-digit number of these in the warehouse now. However, we were just informed there will not be another Wraith HD 2-power shipment into the United States until at least November. So you're talking about September, October, and part of November. When these are gone, when dealers are done with them, when they've sold through these, that's it. And we're going to be sitting on high center until sometime, hopefully, in November. So my advice is, if you think you want one of these and you want it before Thanksgiving, maybe before Christmas, jump on it now. That's not a sales pitch. I'm just shooting you straight, because what's going to happen is they're going to fly off the shelves. All the dealers will be done with them, and people will be calling going, hey, I want to get one. I got a hunt in October.
Oh, it was just like the regular HD that came. I mean, there was, waiting list for many, many months. But
exactly. And
you got
so,
that.
Well, I just want to say one more quick thing about it. It is the same scope, okay? Same features, same body, same. Hey, you know what? I got one sitting here. I'm sitting here talking about this thing, and I got one sitting on this desk right here. It's got a 28 millimeter objective. I believe that's right. Is it not, Hans? I think so. 28 millimeter objective. I'm going with that. It takes the 4 AA batteries. It's just the same scope. I mean, it is exactly the same. Everything about it. The menu system, it does have a different lens cap, which I actually like. But all of it right here in a 2-power. It's got twice the horizontal field of view that the 4-power does. So a great little unit. We've been using them, testing them. I will say that if you want to reach out there and touch something in the longer ranges, you're definitely going to want to upgrade to one of like Sniper Hog Lights that Hans and I sell and we've reviewed. you probably want to do that. But overall, great little optic, especially good for the closer range hunting.
Let's talk about the unit that I have in my hand right now, which is the 4K, and we've gotten so many questions about this. Gosh,
I hate to even mention it because that's just going to cause
everybody
more
wants
phone calls.
Everybody is waiting for the review. We've got them. We've been testing them. I've got it right now.
Hang on. I'm going to pause you. When he says we've got them, we have a final production unit that we own to use, but we don't have them in the warehouse. Not in stock. We're
testing this right now.
Testing units, but it is a final production unit.
Yeah.
It's not a loaner. We own the scope, but we do not have them in the warehouse. Don't call it.
It is a slick looking little unit, man. I love the look and design of it. Tell you what, during the day, and I'm a huge fan of the Sightmark Wraith HD, huge fan of it. This 4K, oh my gosh, during the day, it is noticeably better during the day. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the HD, but this 4K, I mean, during the day is not even any comparison. Very good at night. I mean, I'm testing it with the Sniper Hog Lights. We're putting other IRs up there to test it with. It is. We'll get in the full review. I don't want to get too much information about it right now, just because we got to do some more testing. But we will be bringing that to you shortly as well. We'll probably be doing that right after. I'd say pretty close to after we do the XG50. Sometime after that, we'll be doing the full review of that.
I want to mention a couple quick things on this. This is something that is a little bit different than the way the other units. The other Wraiths have come in. So this unit is $799. We've been taking pre-orders since January. We have not pushed the unit at all because it was supposed to come out in, I don't know what, March, April, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's definitely been delayed.
Coronavirus hit. They delayed it, officially delayed it, and said it's going to be fall. Now we're looking at first shipment coming sometime in September. Now, folks, here's the deal. Normally when these Wraiths come in, these other units, they have come in like a lot at a time. They come in about every 30 days. This is not going to be that way, and this is not the way we originally understood. So it's like, hey, put your order in. Whatever you order, you're going to get them, because we're probably going to get whatever, quadruple digits. This thing is barely going to come in the triple digits, barely. Yeah. So what that means is this first shipment, dealers are just going to get a handful of them. And I do mean a handful. And then they're basically going to, kind of double what they get in 30 days later in November. October. And it's still not big. And then they're going to double that again. And so, honestly, this thing is probably going to be nearly impossible to get through the entire fall. I will be shocked if these things are sitting on the shelf, maybe at all with any, large dealer until the new year. Now, anything can happen. They could somehow between now and then up production, but we have been privy to the production numbers that they're going to be shipping in, and these things are coming from overseas. They are coming via ship. They come a container. That takes a long time. Things can get hung up out there by 1 week. It's not weird at all for something to get delayed. Then it's got to get offloaded. Then it's got to go through customs. Then it's got to get shipped to Texas. Then it goes to the dealers. The point I'm making is that if everything works perfectly, these things roll in 30 days apart. Right. That's if everything works perfectly. And in 2020, there ain't nothing worked perfectly yet. So exactly. And I'm not saying this to say, come running down here and pre-order them. What I'm saying is be prepared for a wait. Even though these things may start shipping, you may be still waiting 2, 3, 4 months to actually get them just due to supply and demand as we go into the busiest season. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Crushing people's hopes. Well,
I'm just being honest.
That's the show,
I would rather
folks.
be
We'll leave you on a sad
honest.
note. No, we've got a lot to say about it. We'll be doing some more testing with it and bringing you all the latest on it here very soon. But
so,
the last things we're going to talk about, rounding out the show, the Trail 2 LRFs.
Since we're here to crush hopes, and that's what we're here to do, let's talk about these units. So, Trail Laser Rangefinder 2 XQ50 and XP50. These are the new models that were announced at SHOT Show in January. These are the only trails that are on the market now. So if you're watching this and you're a little confused, all the original Trail models are discontinued. The original Trail Laser Rangefinder models are discontinued. The only trails in production are the Trail 2 Laser Rangefinder XQ50 for $42.99 and XP50 for $59.99, $6,000. Right. So these units have all the same upgrades, image quality, displays, thermal cores, everything that the Thermions have. So their Thermion counterpart, they've just been brought up to that speed, and they've got a new Trail magnesium housing. One thing I also want to mention, there's been a lot of confusion on this. Most of the pictures that you see of these, they have a long eyepiece. So unlike the original Trails, the eyepiece is about 3.5, 4 inches long. That is not the American version. That is the European version. They've been shipping over there for probably, 4 to 6 weeks. They've had them over there. The American version does not have that long eyepiece. It looks just like the older model Trails. And so like that's one reason that they haven't been coming in. It's a little bit different. They've got to make a change to make this American model. Now, so I don't know what the date is. Everything's running together, but 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago maybe, there was a very, very small shipment of the Trail Laser Rangefinders that made it to the U.S. Just a handful of the XQ50s and not that many more of the XP50s. If you're on our back order list, which we do have a list for both of them, hang tight, okay? If you're on another dealer's back order list, hang tight, because Pulsar has been very clear with us that these units are going to trickle in, and we don't know what that means. I mean, it could be a matter of us getting one a month. It could be getting 3 every 2 or 3 weeks. We don't know. We do know that we've used them. We've hunted with them. Hans and I have got our hands on the units. They're really, really good. They're very excited about them, but just be prepared again to wait. And what happens is a lot of guys get anxious. They go, oh my gosh, they're here and they're shipping. Right, but there might have only been 100 of them coming to the U.S., and so you just wait, be patient. They're slowly going to be coming in, but they're good
coming
units.
in and 200 dealers. So
300 over 300 actually.
Under 300, yeah. So that, and then we also have the Digisight LRFs.
Yes, they're
shipping soon, right?
They're in stock. Yep. Digisight N450 LRF. If we'll do a review on that. It's going to be simply this. It's going to be a Pulsar Digisight N450 that we have reviewed before, and it's got a laser rangefinder on the side. It's going to be $1,500. They are sitting on the shelf. We got those in pretty darn good quantities. We filled all of our back orders, pre-orders, and still had those things sitting there. Hans and I will be using and reviewing that in the coming weeks. Going to be a little bit down the road, but we will get to that as well. So if you're interested in a $1,500 digital night vision scope, best digital night vision image quality, in my opinion, on the market today with a laser rangefinder, bingo, this is it. We got them.
So if there's one thing that you get from this episode is if you like scope talk, if you like reviews, you've got a lot of good shows coming up here in the future. We've got a lot of things to review. I'm
a little worried because this is normally not our time for new stuff. That's normally in January and the spring and early summer. And I'm kind of thinking like, what if there's nothing new announced, in January, and don't even know if we're going to have the SHOT Show and coronavirus and all this? I'm like,
still
we may be getting all the reviews done now. But anyway,
I think all these new scopes being announced and put out in the market, I think that's kind of signaling to the fact that a lot of companies probably anticipate there's not going to be a SHOT Show this year. Is what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm thinking.
We'll see if we're right. We'll see about that. But thank you all for joining us again this week. This has been episode 122. If you haven't already, like we said, go check out the Pulsar Thermion XG50 interview with Jeff Murray and Chase Stevens from Sightmark. And you can find that right now on YouTube. You can also find it on iTunes, Google Play, or thelatenightVisionShow.com. If you're looking to find if you want to buy any night vision or thermal optic, please give Jason a call at 877-350-1818. You can find all the scopes, optics, binoculars, everything we talk about on OutdoorLegacyGear.com. You can find all of Jason's social media stuff on Facebook, also on Instagram and YouTube, as well as my stuff. You can find me on YouTube at Hans ETX. That's HANS ETX. And I'm also on Instagram. So check that out. Stay tuned to all of our social media stuff, because we do kind of signal when we're going to get some breaking news, tell you when to tune in and make sure that you're watching all that kind of stuff, so you know when. You want to know before all your buddies, when all the new stuff's coming out. So check that out. And we'll be back next Thursday for another episode, another installment.
It is. And I think Hans wrapped that up and put a bow on it very nicely. If you're looking for anything in the industry of night vision, thermal imaging for night hunting, hog hunting, coyote hunting, this is the place to be. Every week, every Thursday, we would be honored if you would, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening on, any of the podcast apps, please, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave us a good review. But we really are appreciative of y'all listening every week. We try to bring you all the breaking news as it happens, any industry updates, as well as all the scope reviews. We try to give our most unbiased possible reviews from hands-on use in the field. We use every single one of these optics that we talk about on this show, and we want to give you our honest opinions so you know what to expect before you spend your hard-earned money, because we understand that you don't get the luxury of taking them all out and using them in the field. So a lot of times you're buying them sight unseen. So that's the reason that we do this show. And then we also get to kick back and talk about hog hunting techniques and rifles and calibers and fun stuff, and just having a good time. So again, interviews, all kinds of good stuff. So we hope you enjoy the show. Again, we hope to see you back here next Thursday. And as always, stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.